Hello, dear friends. My name is Sofya Dorinskaya. I am the president of the International Bureau for Human Rights in Mental Health and the head of the Sofya Dorinskaya Center for Medical Information. By education, I am a psychiatrist and have worked in a psychiatric hospital. And now, for many, many years, I have been engaged in the rehabilitation of psychiatric patients. I do everything I can to prevent people from ending up in psychiatry and destroying their lives there. And today I would like to dedicate this video to the topic of stuttering, specifically stuttering in children. I get asked a lot. There are so many questions and so many discussions about the fact that when a child is prescribed psychoactive substances for stuttering, even antipsychotics, it seems to help. The child stops stuttering. But as soon as the medication stops working, the child starts stuttering again. And it seems like an absolutely hopeless situation. We can't not give the medication because the child stutters, but we also can't give the medication because, well, we've watched Dorinskaya's video where she explained how antipsychotics are destructive, which is actually true. That's it. And the relatives don't know what to do. Let's take a look at what stuttering is, the essence of this stuttering, and what psychoactive substances, antipsychotics, actually do. I'll repeat once again, these neurotropic poisons are toxins that are harmful to the nervous system. And under this video, I'll leave a link to a table of narcotics. And their antipsychotics are classified as narcotics. So stuttering is a machine that is created in the mind. A person's mind is not the brain. A person's mind is the thoughts that you create in your head. It's like when you memorize the multiplication table and so on and so forth. The mind is a certain kind of mental device. And in this mind, so-called machines can be created. And if we put this in more understandable terms, it's like a rut in the road. Those grooves and potholes that form when a lot of cars drive over the same spot. That's also, roughly speaking, a predetermined direction of action, a rut. So the machine that is created in the mind is just like that rut. And absolutely every one of you can create this machine in your mind. And absolutely every one of you knows how it is created. Let me give you an example now. There are these kinds of games. For example, did you have breakfast today? Yes. Had breakfast? Yes. You're Sonia? Yes. Is this plate white? Yes. Are you a bird? Yes. So when a person is asked enough questions, they kind of start, as they say, automatically. There's even a word for it. Automatically answering yes, yes, yes. Like, did you eat soup today? Yes. Bread good? Yes. Table black? Yes. Ring on? Yes. You Masha? Yes. Right? So this is the kind of automatic mechanism a person can create, roughly speaking, so that it just keeps running on its own while they focus on something else. Now, there are machines in the mind that a person can control, and there are machines in the mind that are, well, that are hard for a person to control. And stuttering is exactly that kind of machine in a person's mind. A mental automatic mechanism that has been created, which is very difficult for a child due to their young age to control. Or if an adult stutters, it's also difficult for them to control it. They can't just take control of it and break it down at will. For example, if you pull yourself together and start answering questions, then you'll give the correct answers to those questions. So what do neurotropic poisons do? What does this so-called treatment that psychiatrists and neurologists offer actually do? When you poison a person's body, in order for them to speak, roughly speaking, through the poisoning, they have to make an effort just to speak. And when a person speaks, they focus more on expressing their thoughts. And in this way, through this poisoning, their speech slows down and the person doesn't stutter. You can always observe this in the speech of someone who has had some alcohol. A person who has been drinking starts to speak more slowly. You might notice that someone who has been drinking doesn't immediately start talking nonsense. Often people don't talk nonsense. They have some thoughts. They express them, but they do so more slowly. This is exactly the same effect that a neuroleptic has on your small child. It's just that since these are different substances, they poison the person in their own way. But there is no alcoholic intoxication. Those familiar effects like, those kinds of phenomena aren't there, but the meaning is exactly the same. Moreover, the consequences are the same. That is, just as alcohol, this neurotropic poison destroys nerve tissue and leads a person to degradation, these psychoactive substances do exactly the same thing. Another point is that from a biological perspective, alcohol is at least a natural substance and the body can somehow cope with it. But when you give a child synthetic drugs, and psychiatric substances are synthetic drugs, the situation is even worse. So what should be done here? So, first of all, if you have already given your child any psychoactive substances in order to help them cope with their stuttering, you should come to the Sofya Dorinskaya Center for Medical Information and address the deficiencies, because all psychoactive poisons have an effect. The mechanisms of their action are aimed at creating deficiencies of nutrients, vitamins, minerals, and trace elements. What does this mean for the child? This threatens them with changes in the development of nervous tissue. It threatens them with various disorders in the development of nervous tissue. Moreover, you should clearly understand that the consequences of long-term use of psychoactive substances include what is known as tardive dyskinesia or late-onset dyskinesia. This is when the nervous tissue is destroyed, the nerve bundles themselves, and the person, as is believed, develops irreversible changes, twitching. And so the whole person is like they're on strings, and their face, well, it twitches and so on. These are considered irreversible changes. You must always know that if you choose to give your child psychoactive substances, there will be only one outcome. That is ruined health, destroyed nervous tissue. That's the first thing. And the next thing, to overcome stuttering, you need to go to competent speech therapists. What do speech therapists do? What kind of exercises do they teach? And what are these exercises aimed at? These exercises include things like slow, drawn-out speech. Well, I'm not a speech therapist. I don't know exactly. I have a general idea, yes. These are things like rhymes or speaking to music. What is this aimed at? This is aimed at breaking down that very mental machine that has been created. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, when a person has this machine running on its own and can't control it, and the second thing is taking control of this mental machine, when a person is able to control it, and when he can control it, he can create it at will and he can dissolve it at will. And as a rule, when a person takes this mechanism under control, it disappears. That is, the person simply gets rid of it and that's it. But the use of neurotropic poisons is a disaster. First of all, it's not a solution to the problem because your child won't be able to learn while on neuroleptics. Your child's health will deteriorate. The consequences of taking neuroleptics are always disruptions of the endocrine and cardiovascular systems. The liver is always damaged, and in the future this can lead to infertility in the person. There may be no more children, yes, especially if you start giving this at a very early age, and so on and so forth. So compare the problem you're trying to solve with the tool that is being offered to you to solve this problem, and with the consequences that await your child if you use this tool. It is much safer to do everything possible to ensure that the child's nervous system develops properly and correctly, which means preventing nutrient deficiencies and always monitoring the child's diet so that they have everything they need and their body grows and develops as it should. And secondly, working with speech therapists who simply know how to help and do so, how to deal with the problem of stuttering. But never has a neurotropic poison ever solved any problem, so that someone would come afterwards and say, "Oh, great, I'm healthy, everything is fine with me." No, unfortunately, poisoning with neurotropic toxins is a path to destruction, a path to degradation, a path to intellectual disability, and the ruin of a person's health. I hope I have answered the question about stuttering. What should be done about stuttering? I urge you, dear parents, please do not poison your children with neuroleptics. This was Sofya Dorinskaya with you. All the best. Goodbye.